Tea Squad, we are back with my first official nostalgic tea story of 2023. I have not done a nostalgic tea story in a few years, but I'm so happy to be back giving you all of the Hollywood behind the scenes scoop. Today, you guys, we're going to be discussing the very peculiar relationship between Columbus Short and Denzel Washington. I'm actually going to read to you chapter 16 from Columbus Short autobiography titled Short Stories, the Autobiography of Columbus Short. This book came out a few years ago, and when I read it, I had to bring this tea to you guys because this tea will answer a lot of questions for you all that will shock you in the end when I tie this all up in a nice, pretty bow, and it's going to answer a lot of questions for you involving another young Hollywood black male star. So let's get into chapter 16 from Columbus Short's autobiography. Chapter 16 is titled When Iverson Crossed Jordan. If you're a basketball fan, you already got the Gigiana. Let's get it. Let's go. Denzel Washington is the only actor I ever really wanted to go head to head with on screen, and still do. You know, Sidney Poitier was Denzel's first image as a forefather, and Denzel was mine. I admire him so much that I named my son after him. But it's not solely based on the fact that he is one of the most amazing actors of our time. It's also because of how he played me. Y'all got it? Okay, let's go. After Stump the Yard was number one 2 weekends in a row, I basically had my pick of roles. I was the guy now. I had big league agents and was making big league moves. My agency, CAA, called me one day and told me that I was going to meet with famed casting director Deb Aquila and Denzel Washington. They wanted me to test for great debaters on Universal. As soon as they sent me the script, I started studying it profusely. You cannot come to Denzel Washington and not be on your game because he will literally open up his mouth, devour you, and spit you out. That dude is a monster, and I had to be ready to take him on. And I knew I could. Not only was I secure in my skill set, but I had an even bigger advantage because I was a real-life student of argumentary debate. I had literally competed on debate teams in school, and now a role built around that with the one person I'd always wanted to work with was at my feet. Almost immediately after they sent the script, I started asking when this meeting was going to happen. He's wrapping up American Gangster right now, and when he gets back in town in the next couple of weeks, you two and the execs at Universal are going to meet, CAA told me at first. 2 weeks went by, nothing. 3 weeks, still nothing. Finally, it had been a month since this conversation, and I was itching. At this point, I had to call my agents to ask what was happening because there was no reason for it to be taking that long. Then I got the call back from them with an update. Denzel is on a sabbatical. Man, what? Right after I got the news about this sabbatical, I was randomly talking with a friend of mine who just so happened to be Lenny Kravitz's niece. And she was telling me about how she was with her uncle and Denz. Y'all see where this is going? Mind you, she's somewhere on the eastern seaboard, nowhere near where I am. Denz who? I asked because somehow I just knew what her answer was going to be, despite how random it seemed. Denzel Washington. Nah, you gotta be kidding me. I responded incredulously. I'm supposed to be meeting him. She proceeds to tell me how Denz and Lenny have this whole friendship thing happening and that they were hanging out while her uncle was on tour. In other words, I'm not going to see Denz for a while. I was so ready for him, and now I was forced to wait. All that did was put a bigger chip on my shoulder, though. So when we finally did meet, I came in there with something to prove. Now I got some work for you, Denz. You're playing with me, and I'm coming to slice your Achilles off, bruh. You have to pump yourself up that way when going into battle. Seek and destroy. The next month, I finally got the call that the meeting was happening. I will never forget how I felt that night before. I know this script like the back of my hand, and I'm about to blow Denzel Washington's socks off. I had already made this scenario in my head that when we'd meet, he'd see something in me. He was going to take me under his wing, and he was going to guide me through this crazy labyrinth of Hollywood, passing the torch to this young diamond in the rough. I walked into the room to test, and it was myself, Journey Smollett, and all of the producers on the movie. I couldn't wait for this moment. This was literally the moment I'd been dreaming about my entire life. I was about to sit down and give Denzel Washington that work. And then he was going to see how great I was and take me under his wing. Denzel came in late and told Journey to sit down. The tension was so thick in the room that you could cut it with a knife, and it was impossible to read him at this point. Thankfully, the execs broke the ice. Oh, Columbus, congratulations. Stump the Yard was #1 2 weekends in a row. Wow, that is amazing, they gushed. You were great in that movie. They were just showering me with adoration at that point, but it didn't last long. Okay, Denzel commanded. Okay, enough of that. It was just me and him now. All the producers, the actors, the directors, they were behind us, and now it was just me versus him. He turned the New York baseball cap he was wearing to the back as he looked me in the eyes and grabbed the front of my folding chair to slide it right up to him. We were knee to knee, and I knew that he was trying to intimidate me, but I was unmovable. A lot of men would have been scared about that, but I wasn't. He laughed. Once a Roman general, Mr. Lowe, he prompted me. That was the start of the monologue that I was supposed to say. This man really thought I wasn't going to rise to the occasion. Not me, not Columbus Short. Once a Roman general, I said with a confidence that came from so deep. I stared Denzel in the face and vomited that monologue out on his knees. Stand up, he commanded with his infamous laugh when I finished. Once a Roman general, Mr. Lowe. I spit it again perfectly. He laughed. Go over there, he told me, pointing to another part of the room. Once a Roman general, Mr. Lowe. I do it again, not taking my eyes off of him. That's a predator in the room, and I'm on his neck. He laughed when I finished. Come on, sit down, boy, he said kindly, motioning toward my chair. He shook me there. I don't know what it was, but he shook me. Once a Roman general. I started out and I did it different this time. My cadence was lower, more direct. By now, the tension was even more high in the room. I know the execs were thinking, we're staying out of the way. This is black on black crime. This must be a black rite of passage or something. Ha! Okay, Denzel said when I finished. And he brought Journey back in for us to do the entire scene. There was nothing I could have done better. It was me versus my hero. And I was ready and he wasn't. And just as I figured, the producers told my agents at CAA that they had never in their lives seen someone battle Denzel like I did. Columbus Short had given Denzel Washington that work. The very next morning, I was told to stand by for an offer later that day. Nothing came, though. I wasn't worried, but the next morning, I was confused. My texts were filled with congratulatory messages about landing this film, and I hadn't told a soul. And I still had no offer. What is happening? As it turned out, Variety had run a headline that said Denzel Washington and Columbus Short will star in The Great Debaters. Principal photography is scheduled to commence mid-May with Columbus Short from Stomp the Yard in negotiations to play one of the Tolson's students, the February 2007 article read. And here is an actual article that I found from 2007 that does state that Columbus Short and Denzel Washington were slated to be in The Great Debaters together. So he wasn't lying. I was confused because my agents hadn't told me anything about negotiations or having landed the role, but if Variety was saying it, I must have it, right? I didn't know how Hollywood worked at the time, so I really just thought that I could get excited now. I wanted to take down the best. Even Iverson had to cross Jordan at one point. I had to cross Denz, and that stands to date, since this would actually be the reason why I haven't gotten to yet. Another day went by, and while I was receiving even more congratulatory texts, I didn't have an offer. I had to call my agents to know what was going on, and finally they called me back with the film's producer, Todd Black, on three-way. Hey, I just want to say to you, you did an amazing job last week, Todd said. Here it comes. Here's my offer. I mean, you brought it. Just unbelievable work. Come on, Todd, say it. Unfortunately, we're not going to be going further. But the announcement, Variety, what is happening? I started to bring it up and he cut me off before I could even finish my sentence. That's the problem. Apparently, Denzel had gone into the office fuming the morning after the article came out, slammed Variety on the desk and screamed, "Who hired this kid? I didn't fucking hire this kid." "This is the guy we love," they responded. "We ran the numbers." "If this is my picture, I do the hiring," Denz said. "I hire my actors. I didn't pick this kid. I want to see other actors." And just like that, it was over. To this day, I don't know who put out the announcement. I feel like it was CAA trying to campaign, but they clearly made a wrong move because you can't fuck with Denzel. I found out later that Nate Parker wrote him a 4-page letter basically gently stroking all the best parts of Denzel's ego and booked the job. Denzel wanted to work with him because he knew that Nate wasn't the guy that was going to come for his throne. He was a safe, talented actor, but he wasn't a threat to Denz. Nate was not taking Denzel's throne. Ain't that the truth? Because where is that man at now? But anywho, let's continue. It's been over a decade since then, and as you can see, my statements aren't hate, just fact. Ooh. In fairness, he's a wonderful director and turned in a strong performance in Birth of a Nation. As you'd probably imagine, I was absolutely crushed at this point, but then I got armored. Now I was working with Matt Dillon, Jean Reno, and Lawrence Fishburne, and I was the lead. And there was a young actor and director on set by the name of Malcolm Mays. He was 19 at the time and following me around the Sony lot nearly every day because Sony had given him an offer to groom him to be a future filmmaker as a part of some program. He's on a show called Snowfall now. He's amazing. And we all know Malcolm Mays from Snowfall and for playing Lou on Raising Kanan. I was on a lunch break one day on Armored, and Malcolm made his way into my trailer. "Columbus, you're not going to believe who's here doing ADR. ADR is audio visual recording." "Who?" I asked. "Denzel. He's doing ADR in the Judy Garland building." Man, fuck Denz. He knows I'm coming for him. I was really over him at that point because everything was still fairly fresh to me. He laughs and he leaves, but 30 minutes later, Malcolm comes back. "I told Denzel that you're down here and you guys should say what's up," Malcolm told me. I didn't know if this was just Den's or if Malcolm had run his mouth about my previous sentiments, but his response was pretty interesting. I don't got to see that little nigga, Malcolm told me, Denzel said. I've seen a lot of niggas come and go. Let's see if that little nigga stays. Denzel said those exact words, I asked, stunned. Malcolm, say exactly what Denzel said. He repeated it back word for word. He said, I don't gotta see that little nigga. I've seen a lot of niggas come and go. Let's see if that little nigga stays. Instantly, I got hot all over again. Why was this nigga tripping on me? Me! I didn't see him that day, nor the next, nor any time at all while I was on the Armor set. I just eventually pushed the incident to the back of my mind and wasn't thinking about running into him at all anymore. About 6 months to a year went by and my career was moving at the trajectory that it was supposed to be moving at. I was doing all of these movies, but I got a call from my agents one day with an interesting proposition. You know, Columbus, we know you said you want to go back on stage, they started. My dream was and still is to get an EGOT. I need that. I want an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony Award. I can do it all, and I know I can earn that. You can start working on your EGOT if you do Fences with Denzel, they continue. They wanted me to fly to New York to meet with him to discuss doing the 2010 Broadway revival of the play. But I was too skeptical at that point. I was going to fly myself out there to be given the runaround? Nah, they had the wrong one. I sat on it and I prayed on it for a couple of days and I started to come around. Maybe I caught Den's on a bad day, you know. I should give this a shot because whatever it is, I can work through it. If I can work with Den's on stage, then maybe my dream, my vision of him being paramount in my career and my life would come into realization. Before I go out to New York, I want to get on a phone call with Denzel, I said when I called my agents back. I want to hear where he's at. My agents assured me that it wouldn't be an issue and that they'd reach out to Denzel's agent, Ed Limato. Turns out it was an issue. Surprise, surprise. There's no way I'm going to get Denzel on a call with Columbus, Ed told them. It's just not happening. Denzel is not going to do that. At this point, the hell with it. I was already of the mindset that I wanted to speak with him. So now I wasn't just going to give up and walk away. I've never done that in my life. So I wasn't about to start with Denzel Washington. I decided I was going to get on my Nate Parker flow and write Den's a 4-page letter of my own. But my letter wasn't going to be as flattering. Mr. Washington, I remember the day like it was yesterday when I got the call that we were going to be meeting on Great Debaters. I remember the feeling that I had the night before actually coming to meet you. I remember feeling like an NFL player on Super Bowl Sunday about to come out of the tunnel ready to play for a championship. I was looking forward to you being that mentor, that Obi-Wan Kenobi to my Luke Skywalker. But you disappointed me. Not only did you break my heart, but I gave you my all. I left my blood in that room and you toiled with me. I got your message from Malcolm about how you've seen a lot of little niggas come and go and you want to see if this little nigga is going to stay. I promise you, Denzel, that whether you help me out or not, whether you respect me or not, I'm going to stay. I'm here to stay. So if you would like to speak before I get my own plane ticket to come out there and meet you in New York, I would like to speak to you. Best, Columbus Short. Of course, there are some things omitted for time restraints, but you get the point. I sent it off just before Thanksgiving. The entertainment business as a whole pretty much shuts down from December 15th until a few weeks into the new year for the holidays. So I honestly wasn't anticipating a response for some time. Yet and still, on Christmas Eve morning, my phone went off at 7 a.m. from a restricted phone number. I never picked up restricted calls, and I certainly wasn't starting on Christmas Eve. But I was still with that girl at the time, and she wasn't into that idea at all. He's referring to his ex-wife. Is calling you restricted this early in the morning, she screamed at me. Ah, what a lovely way to start our holiday. Pick it up. She didn't win that one, but moments later, when I got the notification that I have a voicemail, she insisted that I check it on speakerphone. I knew that I was rolling the dice, but I was not about to argue on Christmas Eve. Here goes nothing. I press play, and I'm trying to reach Columbus. It's coming through my phone speaker. Denzel Washington was speaking on my voicemail. I got your letter. He gave me a 323 number to call him at. And then I hear the click. Yo, Denzel was a mess. Is a mess. This man had to have been on a rotary phone because I could hear him physically hanging up the phone. It was an aggressive hang up. Oh shit, I yelled to that girl. Denzel just called me. Her demeanor had changed from a screwed up battle rapper face to a little kid's face on Christmas morning, and even though I was extremely preoccupied with the important matter at hand, a little part of me still found time to gloat that she was proven really, really wrong. She told me to hurry up and call him back, and obviously that was the plan. I replayed the message to get the number again since I'd been way too distracted to take it down the first time, and put it in my phone to press send. I'm trying to reach Mr. Washington, I said to the elderly Hispanic woman who answered the phone. Okay, hold on, please. I was put on hold for about 5 minutes, and it was a long 5 minutes. Let me note that I literally called back 30 seconds after he left that voicemail. Mr. Washington is not available, she said when she finally came back to the phone. He will call you back. What's your number? This guy. I told her that he had my number and hung up. And then I just left it alone. I didn't want to be thirsty. But by New Year's Day, when I hadn't heard back, I decided to call the number again. The same thing happened, and again, I didn't hear anything. Why would he call me and then not call me back? Denzel really be playing some games. So at this point, it was screw Denzel Washington once again. Less than a year later, I found myself on set of my film, The Losers, asking Idris Elba, how was it working with Denz? I feel like he's a dick. Admittedly, I was kind of obsessed with hearing others validate the same thoughts that I had developed on Denzel. I guess it made me feel less angry to hear that it wasn't just me that he was an asshole to. He was an equal opportunity. He's a fucking dick, bro, he said in his British accent, which somehow made it more validating. He's a fucking dick. Naturally, I had to ask what happened, and he proceeded to tell me about an incident on set of American Gangster in 2006. During the scene where Idris and Denzel are at the diner and he offered to pay the bill or whatever it is, Denz had actually tried to check him in real life. Denzel is a bully. He likes to bully people on set, and in that particular moment, he told Idris, don't do that again on the next take. According to Idris, he responded, you're not going to tell me about my acting choices, bruv. You're not going to make acting choices for me. I'm going to do my thing. You do your thing and we see what happens. Idris is a Virgo like me, so he wasn't still and isn't scared of Denzel. And after they did the take and Idris did the opposite of what Denzel told him to do, it was game on. The next scene they filmed was when Denzel pulls the on Idris and shoots him in the forehead. He tells me, in any production, you do a 15-minute safety meeting whenever there's a gun on set, especially if you're doing a point-blank shoot. You have to put the gun over to the right so that the shell pops off, and you have like a 4-foot distance from the head because it's a muzzle flash. It didn't happen like that, though. Bruv, he pushes the gun into my forehead and pulls the trigger point blank, Idris said, seemingly still shocked at what happened. I went black. Columbus, I thought the effing gun shot me in the head for real. It felt like I got shot in the head. I thought I was dead. It shook me out. They shut production down because everybody thought I was short. I'm literally bleeding from my forehead. When he came to me, he told me that he saw Denzel getting in his Maybach, driving back to base camp like nothing had happened. And about an hour later, Idris was at craft services getting some food when Denzel came up behind him. I would never let nobody do that to me, Denzel said in his ear. You did that to me, Idris responded. Bruv, if we were on a movie set, I'd F you up right now. They actually had to break them up, but no real physical damage was done. And here is article proof that what Columbus is saying is true, because even the director Ridley Scott talked about the incident in numerous interviews. I remember thinking if that was me, the old me, I would have broken his jaw, no questions asked, which would have abruptly ended my career. 3 years later, in 2012, I'm on the #1 television show on network television, Scandal. Tisha Campbell and Dwayne Martin have a club in Studio City, and Thursdays was industry night. You could catch anybody there. Will and Jada, obviously, Tisha and Dwayne. It was a who's who of names. This particular Thursday night, I got off work on Scandal early, so I ended up stopping by the spot on my way home with my boy. I saw Denzel right away. There's your man, my boy told me as soon as we walked in. And there he was, sitting at a table, smoking a cigar, surrounded by like 10 real Russian mob dudes. This dude is really cold-witted in real life. There is my man's right there, I replied, not taking my eyes off Den's. Let me go say something. At this point, I didn't care. I was going up to him. And when I did, I was greeted with a handshake and a subtle smile. You never called me back, I demanded. Oh, no, yeah. You know, it's that whole spiel. It's all good. I appreciate that you actually read my letter. He asked me what I was working on currently, and in my head, I was like, man, you know what I'm working on. You talk to Carrie. You know what it is. Don't play with me. But of course, I'm going to play the game. I'm working on Scandal with Carrie, I said with a big fake smile. Oh, yeah, that's right, he replied. Okay, all right. Well, keep up the good work. That was the last time I saw Denz. I doubt he'll ever know how much those small few words of encouragement meant to me. I always felt like Denzel was trying to lit nigga me, and it bothered me my whole career. So much so that years later, that very notion became the reason behind my son's name. When my now wife was pregnant with our son, he was kicking a lot in her stomach. When I went to look up names that have a wild one type of meaning to them, ironically enough, one of the names that came up was Denzel. I told my wife right then and there that that's what his name would be. She asked me why. Because now Denzel is my lut. The truth is, he remains to be my favorite actor, period. He is brilliant in all his choices on screen, and after years seeking his validation of my existence in the business, I am finally at peace with it all and still would jump at the chance to share the screen with him. My son carries my hero's name. He's destined for greatness. Now, I know y'all are like, wow. You would have never thought that Denzel would be so calculating and cunning and deceptive and controlling and a bully and a narcissist and an a-hole. Like, oh my God, when I first read that, I was stunned. And then what gave me validation years after reading this book, that everything that Columbus Short said about Denzel was real and true, was when I saw that Denzel Washington was doing the same thing he did to Columbus Short, now to Damson Idris. It all came around full circle. If you don't know what I'm talking about, let's check out these clips.
I previously interviewed Damson Idris, who said that he auditioned for the role as your son, Damson Idris. He said he auditioned to portray your son on Fences, and he is constantly compared to you and went viral last week for impersonating you. How do you feel about that? Do you feel like he's one of the leaders of this new black renaissance in TV and film?
Who are you talking about?
Damson Idris from Snowfall. He is the...
I don't know who that is.
You don't know who Damson is?
No.
You gotta know who he is.
Go find out. But Damson, what show? Snowfall?
They compare Damson to Denzel all
You don't know who it is?
I do know.
Well, when off
No
record...
disrespect, Danson. No disrespect, Danson.
Off record, I'm gonna put you on.
Congrats on all the success of Snowfall.
Bless you.
I'm happy you're here. This show was created by the great John Singleton, who I'm a big fan of, and he said that you reminded him of a young Denzel Washington.
Yeah, he would call me Damsel.
He would call you Damsel?
He'd call me Damsel on set, like, hey, come on, Damsel, all the time.
But
yeah.
your relationship with Denzel Washington has been very humbling, I would say, to say the least.
Very, very humbling. Yes, Jimmy, that's
Yes.
true. Last year, I was getting cooked online, been cooked for a whole year, actually. Someone asked him on a carpet, hey, Denzel, do you know Damson Idris? He's like this great, talented actor. And Denzel goes, yeah, I don't know who that is. I don't know. What's the boy's name? No idea who I am.
Yeah, no idea who you
Yeah.
were at all, yeah. So it's a little, that crushes the ego a little bit, because he's one of your idols, right?
He is. He's
He
the
is.
greatest in the world. And
He really is.
5 days ago, at the Warriors versus the Lakers game, I finally got to meet him.
This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Finally.
It was huge, man. He was walking by me, and I got the courage to talk to him. I was like, "Don't be a wimp, D. Talk to him." I'm like, "Mr. Washington, thank you. Thank you for everything." He's like, "Thank you, son." And I'm like, "It's Damson Idris." He finally realized that it's me from last year, and he's like, "Hey, my boy, hey, you owe me money. You owe me money."
That's what he said?
It was amazing. And I'm getting ready to have this moment. And then Draymond Green comes running over, sweating, because he just played four quarters. And he's like, "Hey, Denzel, can I get an autograph?" So I'm slowly walking back, slowly coming out the frame, slowly out of the picture. Then a bunch of little kids run over, asking Draymond for an autograph from him. And then the moment was over. Moment was ruined.
We actually got a photo that someone took a picture of you.
No, you don't.
Falling in the back, and just look at how innocent, and look at your face. Like,
No! No!
you're like, I was there. Draymond, get out of it. I was almost.
Damn you, Draymond! Damn you, Draymond!
Dude, keep
Go
it-
and take a shower!
Go do something. Go sleep.
Take an ice bath!
Once I saw all this play out in the media last year, I was like, he's sunning Damson Idris just like he did Columbus Short. He knows who that young man is. He's heard about him. Because after that, he was asked about Damson again on another red carpet. He was like, everybody keeps asking me, do I know this guy? Do I know this young man? I don't know who he is. Da, 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 da. So you're not going to tell me that you didn't have somebody look him up, or you didn't look him up yourself. And then he tried out to be your son in Fences. So, boy, get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. And it's just so disheartening to learn that instead of, championing young black actors and, giving them game and, trying to lead them in the right direction, that he's playing these weirdo games with people, trying to keep them, at bay and in control and not giving them opportunities. It's just weird, because we all have seen that Damson Idris is a incredible actor. I mean, one of the best of this upcoming generation. The boy can act his butt off. And I wouldn't be surprised if the reason why he wasn't casted because he was too good. And when he was able to finally meet him at the game, you've heard about this young man. You finally get to see him. You've heard that he's this great talent. You speak to him, and then somebody comes over and interrupts your conversation, and then you just don't go back to it. It's not like he's just a regular fan and you don't know if he's crazy or not. Like, this is a fellow actor who obviously looks up to you. He's standing there looking stupid, waiting on you to finish the conversation. It's nothing for you to say, hey, great impersonation. I've been hearing a lot about you. Keep up the good work. Da 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 da. You know what I'm saying? He just left the dude standing there and kept it moving. That's how I know that he was playing mind games with this young dude, just like he did Columbus Short. And it's so just, it really gives you a bad taste in your mouth when you learn negative stuff about somebody that you looked up to and idolized for years. That's why they say never meet your heroes, because 9 times out of 10, they're going to disappoint you. And it's really, truly sad that he's like that in real life. So just, and disgusting. I don't like it. It'll never take away from his talent, because he is one of the greatest actors of all time. But that's just trifling, the way he acts towards, other young black men and just black men in general. But the saying is true when it comes to his own son, John David Washington. When you look at interviews when he talks about his father, baby, you could tell they've had a very contentious relationship, because he will praise his mama, honey, from her head down to her feet. He praises his mother in every interview that he does. And when it comes to that daddy, child, and John David can act his butt off. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. I also believe that Denzel Washington was the one that leaked the story to Variety. I really do. I think that he did that so he could have a reason not to hire Columbus for the job. That's what I think. Hey, I don't think it was CAA. I think it was Denzel. It all makes sense to me. It really honestly does. So that's a mess. But hopefully you guys really truly enjoyed this nostalgic tea story video that I brought to you. I've been waiting for over 2 years to bring this story to you guys, and finally it's the right time. I really want to get these nostalgic tea story videos back up and running, so I need you guys' support. Please support these videos, run these numbers up, hit that thumbs up button, turn on your notification bell button so you know when my videos drop. Please share these videos with your family and friends, and just on your social media, let people know about this channel. And I'm going to be doing videos on politicians, on singers, rappers, musicians, actors, actresses, athletes. I'm running the gamut, okay? And I'm going to try to do it in a unique, fun way that others aren't doing it, because, it has gotten overly saturated with the old Hollywood stories. That's why I really want to focus on not just old Hollywood, but current Hollywood, the scandals and the gossip and the deceits and the infidelity and, all of that stuff that goes on behind the scenes, okay? So hopefully, once again, you guys enjoyed this nostalgic tea story. Let me know what y'all think about everything that was spilled today. Make sure to thumbs up this video, like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell button. You guys, I love you immensely, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.